This is a podcast from Cambridge Assessment International Education. For further information, please visit www.cambridgeinternational.org.
Hello and welcome to our Universities podcast from Cambridge International. My name is Roshan, Senior Recognition Manager here at Cambridge International. And today we're looking at what happens on results day for students applying to UK universities. We'll discuss what you need to do, what you can do if you don't yet have a university place secured, and what information is available to support you as you decide on your next steps. To talk through all of this, I'm pleased to be joined by Mark Wilson, Customer Experience Manager at UCAS. Welcome, Mark, and perhaps you could start with telling us a little about your role and the important place that UCAS has in connecting students with universities.
Thank you, Roshan. Hi, my name is Mark Wilson. I work as a Customer Experience Manager here at UCAS, and the main aim of my role is to work with the different teams across UCAS, from operations through to marketing and communications, and make sure that what we do and what we offer to our international customers meets their needs and is responsive to the feedback we get. So that means working with a lot of international schools and the students who are studying and applying from those international schools, as well as other international customers and stakeholders.
Thanks, Mark, and brilliant to have your expertise with us today. So
Thank you.
Let's turn attention then to what happens on results day when students collect their Cambridge International AS or A-level results. And a question for many of our learners is, do they actually need to send those results to UCAS or to the universities? And what's the process around that?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And we've been really pleased to work with Cambridge International for some time. And we are very integrated with the examination system that you run on your side, so that for many students taking international A levels, it's not necessary to send their A-level results through to UCAS or to universities. That's done automatically. So how the process works is that we match those exam entry records and the qualifications that students list on their applications at an earlier point in the cycle. So we make sure all the details are right, that we're recognizing this applicant matches with this exam candidate. And once those results are made available, they come out a little bit earlier for us and for the universities. So we pass those results on to the UK universities and colleges to help them do the reconciliation against the offers they've made, to check to see if students have met those conditions and confirm places in those instances where they have. So students, for the most part, won't need to do anything else with regard to their academic qualifications. If students are also taking an English language test of some kind, or there's other evidence they need to present to show that they've met other non-academic conditions, then they need to listen carefully to what the universities ask them to do with that and send that information in separately following those instructions.
Thanks. So yeah, certainly sounds like the main part of the process is nice and seamless with those results transferring over. So for a student looking to actually check, that they have their place confirmed at university, do they receive an email from UCAS once that all has gone through, or is it a case of students logging back onto their UCAS account?
Yeah, so at different points in the day, we do get in touch with applicants in different sort of status categories to let them know what they do need to do next. So we will be in touch with you to kind of keep you informed if you're a student who's holding an offer and you're keen to know what has happened and whether your university place has been confirmed. Students can also log into Track, which is a part of the UCAS system that they can check after they've submitted the application, and they may well have seen those original offers coming back there. So there'll be different statuses they can see in Track. They might be telling them that they have might be receiving a congratulations message telling that their place at a specific university on a specific course has been confirmed, and they can check to see if that message is there. They then get further details sent through track a few days after the original confirmation. So the university would be in touch with them to say what else they might need to know and give them further details and further information. Now, there might also be some students who are in slightly different situations. They may have been quite close to achieving the grades, but maybe missed by one grade in one subject or something similar. So they might have a message which still says to them that they have replied to their offers and they're holding a conditional place still. And what this means is that we're waiting for the university or college to let us know if you've met the conditions and have been accepted. So those borderline cases, if you will, it might vary for the university or college in question as to whether they will have the places available. Have other candidates met the conditions and been awarded places? Are there still places available that would otherwise go to clearing? So it's a bit of a waiting game with those particular cases. I mean, if a student finds himself in that situation, but they think they have met the conditions, you might need to get in touch with them just to confirm, or send them any details of results or other conditions that were on the original offer. And then there's a sort of third category which they might see, where they'll be told in track that they are now in clearing and be given a clearing number. Now, what this means is that they aren't holding any offers. It might be because they hadn't received any offers originally, or it might be because they didn't meet the conditions, unfortunately, and the university or college confirmed that they could not continue to offer that place. For those students, not to worry, there'll be lots of other opportunities available through our clearing service, and students will be able to get in touch with universities and still have opportunities to find the right course. Now, the only other options that sort of come up, there might be sort of changes made to offers. There might be a course change if somebody's met conditions in part, but they may not qualify for the original course, but there's a related course with slightly lower entry criteria. So there's a few different sort of minor categories that come up as well, but all of this the students can check when they log onto track.
Thanks. So you mentioned a little bit about clearing. Is that the same process that a student would use if, for whatever reason, they decide the university they put as their first choice, their firm choice, isn't the one they would like to go to anymore, and perhaps are looking to see if they can change their mind to another course at maybe a different institution with places available? Is that the same process that they would go through?
Yes, that's right. Clearing has really grown as a route into university over the last few years. And more students have been using clearing in recent cycles to find the right course at the right university or college for them. You're basically eligible to go into clearing if you don't hold any offers. You could have previously applied and not been made an offer, or not met conditions, or alternatively you could have declined all of those offers that you received. But new applicants can also start their application in clearing. So if they had a last minute change of heart, if they had a different plan, not to study in the UK, but have changed their mind and still want to find a place for 2020, they're also eligible to apply through clearing.
And one of our schools has been in touch with a question about adjustment. Could you remind us who is eligible for adjustment and how that process works?
Yes, so adjustment is in some respects, but there are some sort of important differences. So I think first of all, it's important to note that clearing and adjustment run at different times. So clearing will start in early July and run through to September or October, whereas adjustment is fixed around a certain time period in August, around the main sort of A-level results. And adjustment is a situation where students who've done better than they were predicted, so if they've exceeded the grades that they were expected to achieve in their studies, they can keep their offer that they had accepted at an earlier point in the cycle, and for fixed periods of time they can look around, get in touch with other universities or colleges that might have had higher entry criteria that they didn't think they were going to meet, and see if there are places available. And if there are, they can discuss accepting an offer from one of those universities instead, but at no point do they put their other offer at risk. So if it doesn't work out, or if they decide that their original choice was the right one, they can revert back to that at any time.
So a good option if students are perhaps just looking at other alternatives, as you say, without the sort of risk of losing their original place.
Absolutely, it's not as widely used as clearing is, and I think in many years the timing is perhaps a little late for some international students who are probably preparing things like the finances and visa and any scholarship applications and so on. But perhaps this year, given that a lot of what we would have expected to see normally is going to be running a little later due to the impact of coronavirus, there might be opportunities there for some students, absolutely.
And another thing that we've seen mentioned this year, which I understand is a new service for students, is Clearing Plus. Would you be able to tell us a bit about how that will work?
Yes, absolutely. We're really excited to offer students and universities and colleges this new service related to clearing. So Clearing Plus, anybody who's eligible for clearing will be eligible for Clearing Plus as well. And if applicants find themselves in clearing, there will be a new button in track called View Matches. So how it works is that if they click on that button, they can start browsing courses that they've been matched to based on their application and the type of student that providers have told us they're looking for. So rather than functioning in the conventional way that clearing works, where a student has to do all of the legwork and go out and find a university and talk to them, this is where universities will potentially come to the student to, based on pre-matched criteria, to see if that student is interested in their course. So if they do find a course in Clearing Plus they want to be considered for, they can click on a button which says I'm interested and give their consent for us to pass their details on to the university or college. And then the university or college, if they've still got places, they'll contact that applicant to discuss things further and make an offer. And then after that, if your students do receive an offer through Clearing Plus in that manner, all that's left is to do what they would normally do through clearing, log into track and add that clearing choice so that their place can be confirmed.
So I think a good point just to remind students to double check your contact information is up to date with UCAS, so your email address and your phone number, if you want to make use of that service for universities to reach out to you. But it sounds a great initiative for students this year.
Yes, and hopefully for those students that will be able to benefit from it, it will take some of that stress away from the clearing process, and help them to match up with universities where there's a good fit between the kind of qualifications they hold and what the universities are looking for. So yeah, absolutely. But a good point about those contact details as well.
So turning our attention a few months further down the line, from your conversations with universities and colleges across the country, do UCAS have much of a sense of whether UK universities will be able to welcome students in person in September for courses starting this year, or do we think it will be mainly online and sort of blended learning this year?
Yes, that is such a key question at the moment, isn't it? I mean, I think that's one that is really central to a lot of people's thinking. We recently held our International Teachers and Advisors Conference online. Lots of really great engagement from teachers and counsellors the world over, and that was one of the key questions that they had. And I know there's been a lot of work that other organisations have done on this to try and get an overview and a picture for students and the people supporting them so they can make up their mind. What seems to be really likely to happen is that a lot of universities will go through some kind of blended learning approach or blended teaching and learning approach, which will combine in-person teaching with online lectures and other forms of teaching and learning. The Universities UK, which is an association representing universities in the UK, did a recent survey, and they found that of the almost 100 or so universities that responded to their survey, that 97% of them had confirmed that that is the model they will follow. There will be elements of in-person teaching at the start of the term, and I think they're really looking there at those elements of the course delivery that are much easier to adapt to social distancing and any other sort of health requirements that or public health requirements that might be in place at that point in time. So what might be online will be the large scale lectures, and smaller groups, seminars and discussion groups and so on will be arranged in ways that follow all of the government guidance and public health guidance that applies. I think a really important point to stress on this is that what we've also heard is that people aren't just at the universities and colleges, people aren't just thinking about how teaching and learning and assessments will be carried out, but they're also thinking about what the whole experience will be. So they're thinking about social opportunities, outside events, sporting activities, support networks, fitness and well-being for the students who join in autumn 2020. And I think, yeah, it's been a hectic few months since the pandemic sort of took hold, and there's been a lot of change and a real struggle to respond to things as best as we can across the entire sector. But what's really struck me is that there's been, right at the centre of all of this, a really strong focus on students' well-being, and I think that's one that will carry through for the rest of this academic year and the coming academic year as well. And it's, I think, a really important point to stress that universities are not just thinking about how to deliver courses, but how to ensure the safety and well-being and happiness and overall experience for their students.
Absolutely, I think that's key, and for many of our learners moving overseas to study for the first time and coming to the UK, all of those other considerations are so important, and it has been really reassuring to see from universities plans in place to look at alternative approaches for inductions, for welcoming students, as I say, to the UK, and that broader experience as well as the teaching and learning. But for some students, perhaps 2020 won't be the year for them to start, and for whatever reason are looking ahead to next year. So what are the key timescales for students looking to start in 2021 in terms of applying? When should they start their UCAS applications, and what are the key deadlines that they should be aware of?
Yes, that's a really good question. I think as well as those students who are looking to join university this year, we've heard a lot from students thinking about the following year, whether that was always going to be the time at which they applied, or because they perhaps might be thinking of delaying their studies until then. We've been really pleased at UCAS to be able to continue to provide the normal sort of levels of service that we would normally do in any other given year. And although all of the UCAS staff are working from home at the moment, as much of the country is, we launched the 2021 cycle in line with the normal dates. So this means that from last month, mid-May, students would have been able to start searching for courses on UCAS.com's search tool. We collected all of the course information about 2021 courses that were running from the universities and colleges and published this back in May. And then from the 19th of May as well, we also launched the apply system so that students could register, they could start completing the application form, and they could start getting their teachers and counsellors to provide provide references and so on. They will then be able to pay and send applications from the 8th of September. So that's the earliest point that anybody will be able to send an application for 2021 to UCAS for us to pass on to the universities and colleges. But we're not working to any different application deadlines than in previous years. 15th of October will still be the application deadline for Oxford or Cambridge universities, and also for courses in medicine, dentistry and veterinary science and medicine as well. And then for all other courses, 15th of January 2021 will be a key deadline to focus on. But would really like to stress that that is what we call an equal consideration deadline rather than a hard deadline. Lots of courses remain open after that date, and students, especially international students, will continue to apply up to the 30th of June, which would be the main deadline for the main scheme applications before clearing 2021 will start. So there's lots of time to make choices. Students can use all of the resources on ucas.com, work with their counsellors and teachers at those Cambridge schools, and make informed choices and carry on as usual with their 2021 applications. So nothing has changed from previous years.
That's great. And talking about resources, are there any on the UCAS site that are particularly important for students to look at when researching over the next few months? And am I right in thinking there's now an opportunity through UCAS to be connected to some current students to ask questions?
Yes, absolutely. So we've been very well known for the application service that we offer for many years. Throughout that time as well, many students have also used the different information, advice and guidance that we offer to help them both know how to complete the application, but also to really focus on what it is they want to study, where they want to study. So we developed something called UCAS Hub, which is a personalized information and advice service for students. They can register and create a dashboard combining the information that's most relevant to them, search for courses. We will give them hints and tips which we push to them through that dashboard. And part of that UCAS Hub service includes what we call our sort of UniBuddy scheme. We partnered with another organisation that offers a platform for peer-to-peer advising and support. We have a large number of universities who sign up. They have nominated student ambassadors who have entered their profile on the UniBuddy app within the UCAS Hub, and students can browse this and they can see what somebody's studying, where they're from, which university they're studying at, and ask them a question. So if you see somebody studying at a university that you think you might be interested as well, you can drop them a quick message and start having an online chat. Similarly, if you see somebody studying a particular subject that you think you might be interested in, you can ask them questions about that as well. Now this is peer-to-peer, but obviously the UniBuddy organisation that we work with, plus all of the universities and colleges that are participating in this, they also have oversight and control to ensure that there's sort of appropriate safeguarding and oversight of these pre-applicants engaging with students at their universities. So I think it's a really great service. It's something that really helps students to get the real information, the real insights into what it's like to study at a particular university or college or a particular course. So we'd really encourage students to use that. But also lots of other resources on the UCAS Hub that they can use, including personal statement tools, which help them build up their personal statement, work out what's the best thing to say about themselves. So it really breaks it down into separate questions. Lots of information and advice about the universities and colleges and the courses they offer, and the careers that might push them towards. So really encourage students to take a look there. And if you've got colleagues who are not on the student side, but on the teacher or counsellor side, we have some great resources also at ucas.com/advisors, where they can get all sorts of information which helps them support their students when they're making those applications.
Thanks. Yeah, loads of information and resources on the UCAS site. So thank you for outlining those. So just before we finish today, Mark, do you have any sort of final advice or tips for students who are planning to start a course in September, October this year? Any other information you think they should consider, or any, say, final suggestions and advice?
Yes, I think that's a good sort of note to finish on. And rather than sort of advice, I just think what I'd like to say to students who are applying, especially those who are applying for 2020, is that this year has been a truly, truly exceptional year, and it has thrown so many challenges in the direction of all of us. But for students trying to complete their studies and make that next step to university or college, it's been such a difficult time for them. So I think overall what we've seen and heard is that they've responded really, really well to switching to online learning, to dealing with all the stresses and challenges of alternative assessments and so on. So I just wanted to say well done to those students. Keep it up. You're doing a really good job, and keep in mind that what you wanted to do after school, that long-term aim to get into university or whatever else it was you wanted to do, those reasons and that motivation will still apply once coronavirus has gone, once it's become something that we can deal with much more safely and easily. So please stay with the course that you've chosen. Remember those reasons why you wanted to study in the UK in the first place, and best of luck with all of your preparations and with those grades as they're coming through later this summer.
Great, many thanks, Mark. That's a great note to end on, and thanks as always for all of your thoughts, your insight, and your help. I know this will be very useful to many Cambridge learners, to many Cambridge schools across the world. And so really just to round up, to students, don't forget to keep in touch with the universities, keep in contact with them to see the latest information and advice they have for September. Use the multitude of resources available from UCAS, and do take the time to consider your options and have everything in place, hopefully ready to start your courses in some way, either online or in person in the UK later this year. So from all of us at Cambridge International, good luck and all the very best. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Roshan. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you for listening to this podcast from Cambridge Assessment International Education. For more podcasts and further information, please visit www.cambridgeinternational.org.